for a couple people, namely Marty, to sit down with his food, and we'll get started. Michael, can I ask for a roll call, please?
Alderman Bob Bauman. Alderwoman Malali Coggs. Mr. Grady Crosby. You're on mute, Grady. Mr. Mark Flaherty. Here. Representative Kaylin Haywood.
Here.
Senator LaTanya Johnson. Here. Mr. Jim Cantor.
Here.
Secretary Kathy Colton Blumenfeld.
Here.
Senator Devin LeMahieu. Mr. Scott Mansky.
Here.
Mr. Greg Marcus. Mayor Dennis McBride.
Here.
Alderman Jose Perez.
President Pleasant.
Mr. Gerard Randall.
Present.
Representative Jesse Rodriguez.
Here.
Ms. Aisha Sawa. Here. Mr. Omar Sheikh.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Thanks, everybody, for being here for our first meeting of the year. With that said, first order of business is any discussion and the approval of the meeting minutes from October 20th, 2023, which was our last board meeting. Any discussion? Let's seek a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Meeting minutes are approved. Next order of business, over to Mr. Marsh for our financial update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. Today's update will be our last review of 2023 financial activity until Baker Tilly's presentation of the audited financial statements at the June board meeting. Overall, today's financial news regarding 2023 is positive and not materially different from the update that was provided to the board in October. As for 2024, you'll notice there's one financial exhibit for that fiscal year in your packet today on pages 21 and 22, and that is the budgeted income statement. At this time, we continue to forecast the budget the board adopted in October. We'll provide a more comprehensive update on 2024 financial activity at the March board meeting. So let's get into the 2023 review, and while I traditionally like to start with the bottom line first, and we did beat our budget net income in 2023, which we'll talk about in a minute, I do first want to mention several significant achievements that occurred this past fiscal year that can't be gleaned by simply reviewing the financials. When Marty and I presented the 2023 budget in the fall of 22, we made clear that 2023 would be a year that would significantly shape the future of the district. Specifically, management would, number one, seek to make significant investments back into the business, and number two, would seek to maximize opportunities to stabilize and improve the fiscal health of the district. The focus of these objectives was less on short-term success and had a bent towards 2024 and beyond. And I believe both of these objectives were met as evidenced by the following four examples. Number one, entering into a naming rights agreement with Baird not only produced better than budget revenue for the district in 2023, but will significantly and positively contribute to the district's bottom line for the next 15 years. Number two, through the diligent efforts of district management, CAA Icon, and the rest of the project team, the expansion project remains on time and on budget for substantial completion in 2024. In 2023, over $250 million was expended on the project, accounting for over 55% of the total project budget. And number three, the district began scaling up and building out the staff needed to operate the expanded convention center and grow the business. While this type of investment may have suppressed net income in 2023, our expectation is that it will be paid back in dividends in the years to come. And number four, the district and Visit Milwaukee have been furiously working to fill out the calendar in 2024 and beyond. Several major events that will not only positively affect the district's bottom line, but will have significant economic and social impact for the city and county include, but are not limited to, Expo in 26, Crew in 25, a commitment with Midwest Gaming for the next 5 years, 3-year deals with 2 different corporate conventions, and of course the launch of the district's Scala giveaway. I highlight these 4 examples because 2023 wasn't just about 2023. It was about positioning the district for future success, and to simply analyze this past fiscal year through the prism of these financial statements alone understates the achievements of that valuable work. That said, we still had a business to run, so how did we do? Well, let's start first with the event mix summary, which is page 10 of your packet. Column C represents the number of events we actualized in 2023. Column B represents the number of events we budgeted. As you can see, we fell short of our budget goal by 19 events, 300 compared to the 281 actualized. However, of the 19 short, 11 of those were budgeted as corporate meetings, which typically contribute less to the bottom line than other event types, so the overall financial impact was minimized. And while we did not hit our event budget number, we did exceed the number of events that occurred in 2019. And this is somewhat remarkable given the amount of inventory removed from sale due to the renovations of the South Building as part of the expansion project. So with the event mix as a backdrop, let's get into the 23 numbers, and we'll start with the income statement first on page 12 of your packet with column IDs E, F, G, and H at the top, which compares our annual budget to our annual forecast. And to get right to the point, you can see on line 65, column G, we exceeded budgeted net income before depreciation and expansion debt by $9.3 million. The largest contributing factor to this positive budget variance is interest income, which is line 35. We exceeded budget in this category by about $8.8 million, largely due to the interest earned on project funds. Scrolling up to line 14, column H, total operating income is down by just over 4%. As just mentioned, the revenue shortfall was driven in part by taking off sale certain areas of the South Building as those spaces were renovated as part of the expansion project. With those areas off sale, there was less opportunity to book events and generate revenue. Moving down to line 27, column H, operating expenses exceeded budget by just about a percentage point. Line 15, labor, line 17, contract services, and line 18, utilities are all under budget, again, due to less event activity than expected. You'll notice the event expense category is over budget. This line item captures primarily those payments made to our arena tenants in the form of revenue share and food and beverage and merchandise sales. The Admirals, in particular, had a strong ending to their 22-23 season via an extended playoff run, which helped drive up this number. The 23-24 season is also off to a good start with higher than budgeted food and beverage per caps, which in turn mean higher payments to the team. Line 34, tax revenues is better than budget. And to be clear, these numbers represent actual collections through October, with November and December collections forecasted at budget for now, so some potential upside here after these go final in February. As for non-operating expenses, no new update on the big variances since October. Line 46, pension is greater than budget by over $500,000, as we've discussed at prior meetings. Line 49, Visit Milwaukee, is up relative to budget by about $973K. This is due to stronger than expected city tax revenue collections earned in fourth quarter of 22, as well as better than expected county tax revenues in 2023. And line 50, legal services is up due to work required to finalize the naming rights agreement. All of this leaves us with a positive variance to budget net income, as I said before, of $9.3 million, noted on line 65. Pages 15 and 16 provide a current snapshot of our 23 capital expenditures. Looking at line number 48, you'll see that we're coming in over budget by approximately $100,000. And you'll see quite a few projects on this page that were not undertaken, while page 16 represents a number of items unplanned for but needed to be addressed this fiscal year. The overall variance in capital expenditures is really driven by line 19, Admirals Arena upgrades. As part of our contract with the Admirals, the district is required to make an annual capital investment in the arena. However, any amount we paid over budget in 2023 is that much less we need to contribute to that contractual obligation in future years. Overall, the focus of this year's capital spending has been on projects that deal with life safety, building functionality, code compliance, revenue generation, and contractual obligations. At present, the district is not concerned about meeting future capital maintenance needs. Pages 17 and 18 in your packet are the budget cash flow projections, one exhibit for restricted revenues, one exhibit for unrestricted. Starting with the unrestricted, line number 1 is where the cash balance was as of January 1st. Line 25 is where we expect that cash balance to be as of December 31st of that same year. Right now, these projections are based off of the 24 budget, adopted by the board in October. As you can see, we are projecting to be better than budget by year end by about $2 million. As for restricted cash flows, page 18, the news is positive, and we expect to be about $2 million better in this category as well by year end 24 due to better than expected tax revenue collections in 23. Both funds remain in a stable and healthy state. As for the project, let's flip to page 19, which provides a summary of the project budget, as well as the value of contracts encumbered to date. As we discussed at prior meetings, with most of the project under contract, the district faces very little exposure to pricing risk. And page 20 is simply a quick summary of expected cash drawdowns for the rest of the project life cycle. No significant changes to these project documents from our last update in October. The project remains on budget and on time for substantial completion in spring of 2024. Mr. Chairman, as I said at the start of my presentation, the news regarding 23 is positive, and management is set to build on that success in 2024. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions for Steve? Scott?
I just want to thank you for that overview. I think it was a good summary at the very beginning of where the financials were at for the year and gives us a good perspective of how the year ended. I've kind of always viewed this entity that, cash is kind of king, and looking to see where your cash balances are, both the unrestricted and the restricted, is very good news also. So I congratulate you on the year that you had. It's a lot of effort to go into that, and I think you are prepped for the future too. So just a comment. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott.
Great, no question. Good comments. Thank you, Scott. We would agree with that. Anybody else have any questions? All right, if not, we will move on to Marty and the CEO report. Thank you, Steve. Good stuff.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year, and thank you all for being here live or virtually. I'd first like to start off acknowledging to the group that yesterday, January 18th, marks my 6th anniversary at the WCD. So I want to thank you all for your support and look forward to it to continue for many years. I'm leading off by looking back at 2023, starting with milestones we reached and decisions we made for the expansion and modernization of the Baird Center. Clearly, the most notable and impactful accomplishment was your approval of the naming rights agreement with Baird. At the March board meeting, you approved a 15-year, multi-million-dollar agreement with one of Milwaukee's most notable, locally headquartered international companies, and we thank you for that. This then led to the development of the designation of the naming rights areas and marks for the Baird Center, Baird Community Commons, Baird Ballroom, and Baird Skyview Terrace. In May, we hosted the topping off ceremony where we lifted and installed the final piece of structural steel of the north building. Throughout the year, the team and I hosted over 75 tours to stakeholders, clients, sponsors, event planners, WCD and Visit Milwaukee board members, media, and public officials. The year was filled with deadlines and decisions that included the selection of front-of-house public space furniture, administrative office layout and furniture, the design pattern and colors for the carpeting in ballrooms, pre-function spaces, meeting rooms, administrative offices, the design of 28 South Building meeting room entrances, finalizing the design of the two-story water feature that will serve as a signature feature of the building, the integration of Amazon Go food and beverage location, development of the Visit Milwaukee Visitor Center and the adjoining Cove meeting space, all interior and exterior wayfinding signage, and an enhanced convention center security plan that includes the integration of guest and employee screening utilizing touchless security equipment. Notable acknowledgments and accomplishments for our organization include, as Steve has already mentioned, probably the most important to all of us is outperforming the 2023 budget. We continued the development of full and part-time staff, and we negotiated a more financially and operationally beneficial agreement to the WCD with Ticketmaster for ticketing services in the Baird Center and UWM Panther Arena. The WCD was acknowledged by the Journal Sentinel as a 2023 top workplace. We were a finalist for a Nonprofit Excellence Award. The Milwaukee Business Journal acknowledged us with a 2023 Human Resources Department Award. 2 of our female staff were identified as Titans by the Business Times in Hospitality, Kelly Schwantes of Event Management and Megan Setman, our Vice President of Sales. PRSA Communicator of the Year went to Sarah Mayo. The Stellar Award for Best Convention Center Midwest, and we were recognized as a Westtown Association champion, a Biz Times notable leader in sustainability, and a 2023 Titan 100. On the event side, since we last met, 67 meetings and conventions have gone definite, 14 of which turned definite in the 4 days between December 26th and December 31st. And who said business doesn't get closed between Christmas and New Year's? Visit Milwaukee crushed their 2023 booking goal of 216 room nights, confirming 242,317 room nights for future years, and that number does not include anything for the RNC. As Steve mentioned, we had a number of major events confirmed in 23 for future years: Midwest Gaming, Crew, Le Mans, which is the world's largest distributor of aftermarket products for power sports industry, who have their world headquarters in Janesville, Wisconsin. They'll be back in 2024. We have the Irish dance teachers that will be in Milwaukee in Thanksgiving for 25 and 26. Expo, as Steve mentioned, a meetings and conventions industry event, is coming to Milwaukee in November of 2026. By the October board meeting, we had contracted 30 events in the North Building for 2024 and beyond. As of today in the North Building, we have contracted 63 events for 2024 and beyond, and have holds for another 179 events as far forward as 2031. The 2023 calendar with the Pabst Theater Group in the Miller High Life Theater closed out with 35 shows, including Cirque du Soleil's first ever Miller High Life performances that took place Thanksgiving weekend. Confirmed shows for the second year of the agreement, which began August 1st, is now at 26 and expected to close out with at least 35 shows in the contract year. The first show of 2024 with comedian John Mulaney was a sellout, and the next one coming up with comedian Shane Gillis later this month is also sold out. In the Panther Arena, the Panthers have begun play and are in the heart of their season right now and stand in the middle of the pack in the Horizon League. The Admirals are approaching mid-season and are currently in second place in the Central Division and on pace to make the playoffs. The Milwaukee Wave are in fourth place in the MASL East and about a third of the way through their season. In the Baird Center, Beyond King Tut, the immersive experience, just closed a 3-month run on January 6th. It was a strong product, and the building remained active during what is normally a relatively dark period in the calendar. We booked our first live podcast, tonight's Conversation Live, which took place in mid-October and sold out. The event went really well, and they're returning in March of this year, utilizing even more space because of the demand and tickets for their event. We also booked and hosted our first mixed martial arts event with APFC, the company owned by Milwaukee's Anthony Showtime Pettis and Milwaukee Fight Night 3, which took place in November. We're looking forward to the opportunity of working with them in the future for events in Baird Center. I'd also like to give a shout out to Omar, our board member, for his involvement in bringing the parties together. Really appreciate you being hands-on there, Omar, bringing a colleague of yours into us, and we were able to really establish what we hope is a very beneficial relationship for his group and for us. So thank you again, Omar. Right after the grand opening gala, we actualize exactly why we needed the expansion, as we have 4 events overlapping and for a few days occurring simultaneously, occupying all spaces within the north and south buildings. This is probably the most compelling and exciting piece of this, that we are actually realizing the dream of what drove the expansion. The events that we have occurring simultaneously and overlapping are Wisconsin Junior Grand Slam Volleyball. They're in the expo halls. In the South Building, it's the American Society of Civil Engineers. In the Baird Ballroom, we have Boys and Girls Club of Metro Milwaukee. And then in the rest of the North Building, we have U.S. Ice Rink. Just tremendous usage of our property, and if anybody's looking to use our building the last week in May, sorry, too late, already booked. Starting in early June and July, the Republican National Convention moves into the Panther Arena, Miller High Life Theater, and Baird Center, and the actual convention is running from July 15th through Thursday, July 18th. We expect to hear from the RNC the next 45 days as to their final plans for how our building is going to be used. They're in here regularly, as is Secret Service and their hospitality team. As soon as the convention ends, all areas need to be cleared and back to their pre-convention state by August 2nd to allow for the move-in of 2 large conferences occurring simultaneously. Again, exactly what we were hoping to realize with the expansion. Later in August, we're hosting 2024 Connect Marketplace, a premier national convention for event planners that will be bringing 3,500 attendees, vendors, and exhibitors to Milwaukee. On Tuesday of this week, we announced the 2nd annual Gala Giveaway promotion, in which we're making available in 2025 to a 501c3 charitable organization the use of the Baird Ballroom, Baird Skyview Terrace, a 3-course meal for up to 500 guests, wine service, and a $15,000 audiovisual credit with CTI, our AV provider. Applications are due by 11:59 p.m. on February 14th, with the winner being announced in April. You may remember last year, from an application pool of 176 organizations, we awarded our first gala giveaway to the Autism Society of Southeastern Conference. They'll be holding their event in the Baird Ballroom on June 15th. In the second quarter of this year, we will be implementing the use of touchless screening equipment for all events and at the employee entrance in Baird Center. This will give us the ability to allow permissible bags and electronic devices to be brought in while detecting selected prohibited items at our entry points, without having to manually inspect each person. The same security process will be implemented when we open the North Building in May. Opening night of the Baird Center, as you all know, will be on Thursday, May 16th. Early in the day will be the formal dedication of the expansion, with the gala being held that night. Invitations to the board will be going out by the middle of February for each board member and a guest. Please mark your calendar. We really hope you can attend. We have added dates for tours of the Baird Center expansion. Please check your email for dates and times, and please sign up. I promise you will leave the tour proud and overwhelmed. A bit later in this meeting, Sarah Mayer, our Vice President of Marketing and Communications, will be sharing with you the new branding for the Wisconsin Center District. Before I conclude my report, I would like to share with you a promotional video that was produced by Visit Milwaukee, in which I'm giving Bucks player Bobby Portis a tour of the expansion.
What's good, guys? I'm Bobby Portis. Get ready to tour the Baird Center expansion with me. Let's get it.
We've got a parking garage. There's 400 parking spaces. 400 spaces. We've got soundproofing, so it keeps the rooms all quiet.
Visor, hat, jacket, you know, keep me kind of warm in this cold weather. This is crazy. I ain't know it was gonna be like this walking there. This is huge. Ceilings are so tall in here, we can actually play ball in here.
We're going to make a stop as we start the tour to show our gratitude to a lot of the workers on site by giving them a little unexpected surprise this morning. One of the real inspirational components of the design of the building was the Great Lakes and water. So a lot of things are subtle tips of the hat to the Great Lakes. You'll see as we come in, they're putting up the ceiling panels now. And once it's completed, it'll have the ripple effect of the top of the lake, give the impression as if the ceiling is moving. You afraid of heights at all?
Not at all.
Good. I guess when you're a tall guy, you kind of get used to the height.
Yeah, it's a beautiful view.
Isn't it great? So this space is what we're calling the collaborative staircase. What you see the concrete beam across there? You'll notice there are 5 metal troughs. From those troughs, we're going to be suspending 5 metal panels. Each panel is proportioned to represent one of the 5 Great Lakes. And all of the wood that's being used here is reclaimed ash trees that were cut down within 30 miles of downtown Milwaukee. Building the facility, sustainability has always been a part of it.
How many workers are working here right now?
Right now, 410.
410 workers? A lot of people. Today I toured the convention center. State of the art, it's gonna be great. I can't wait for it to be done. A couple more months, 4 months away. It's gonna be big for the city, man. Get ready for May 2024. Let's get it.
So, Mr. Chairman, at this time, that concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions at all for Marty on the update for the year? For those of you that haven't had a chance to tour the Baird Center, I strongly encourage it. I know Michael sent out some invites for some board meeting dates. I went through at the end of the year because I didn't do any work between Christmas and New Year, so as opposed to you guys. What came through and was it was fantastic. It is actually mind-blowing when you go through what Marty and the team have done. We and the board have kind of helped forge forth for the city. So if you haven't do it, it is truly awe-inspiring and inspirational to get through. So I would encourage you to certainly get with Michael or Marty on that. All right, if there aren't any questions, we'll turn it over to Mike, and he will go through an update.
We do appreciate everybody. Just want to give a shout out. Michael Maxwell has been with us from the beginning, booking meetings, getting everything coordinated on the calendar. We want to give a special shout out to Michael. So we do want to give a quick update. We're in our 28th month since we broke ground, 28 out of 30. So we are rounding the corner now. Everything is on track, on schedule, on budget. We're looking for a substantial completion date of the 29th of March. Everything is lining out nicely for that. There's been a ton of progress over the past 3 months. As you can imagine, on any construction project, the last 5-6 months, the last 25% or so, there's a lot of material, there's a lot of changes every day, every week. We walk with Marty. We look at the progress, and it's just amazing how much progress is being made each day. First slide is the safety metrics, which is, of course, the most important thing that we have on this project is making sure that the workforce goes home healthy every day, back to their families. The crew, the construction teams have done an outstanding job with safety. Our manpower right now has dipped just under 400. It'll probably decrease over the next couple of months. There was a huge milestone for the project team. They reached 1 million worker hours back in November, in mid-November. So that's a lot of man hours. We think we'll probably peak out at about 1.3 or 1.4 million over the next 3 months. We're currently at 1.138. And again, a lot of attention has been paid towards safety. Every trade has an on-site safety director. Everybody's on the same page with safety, and you can tell that the results have been great. Again, we've only had that one recordable incident from a couple of years ago. So we still have a lot of trades on site. There's still a lot of coordination, still a lot of movement, and guys up on lifts and ladders still. So we're going to continue to pay the utmost attention to safety. South building, the building that we're in here, or right now, there's been a ton of progress made to the south building. The ballroom, the existing ballroom, has received a makeover. All new, very high-end wool carpeting, Axminster carpet, has been installed. These new meeting entries that you'll see out in the hallway here, we're about 50% complete with remodeling the new entries. So secured entries, meeting room planner displays, all new wood. Looks really sharp. If you guys have a chance to go back out in the hallway and check out some of the upgrades. These meeting rooms, the room that we're in here, there's been new carpet placed, refresh on all the painting. So we continue to work with that. There's still some meeting rooms remaining. We're working around the event calendar, and we'll have those buttoned up in the next couple of months. Phase one of the existing, where the administrative offices were in the old boardroom area, that has been completely remodeled, was turned over a few months ago. There's new break rooms, there's new offices, the security department has expanded. It looks great in there, and the next phase of that we're working on for the Levy offices to move in here in the next 5 or 6 weeks. We're also upgrading all the pre-functions areas, so the hallways, all new carpeting, all new paint. Eventually we'll get signs, new signage, wayfinding installed, and new furniture. The locker room area, there's a brand new locker room area just off this back hallway here. Lockers are going in as we speak, so looking at turning that over in the next month. And then we did a huge code upgrades to this building. The fire alarm system was outdated, wasn't up to code. Collaborated with the city and the fire department to develop that scope of work, and I can say we're probably about 95% complete. We just have some device and some testing left to do in there. So the balance of scope is to finish the office areas for Levy, the balance of the meeting rooms, and furniture and signage will go in March. For the expansion project, the exterior work, we were blessed to have such a great mild fall into the early winter. We were able to get almost all the site concrete complete. There's only a couple of small little pours left out there, so we're about 99% complete with everything on the exterior. Exterior metal wall panels, all the lifts that you see still remaining around the project are mostly for the high elevated metal wall panels. You can see the crews are starting to peel back the protective coatings and starting to unveil the actual color, the cool bronze color and silver color of the panels. All the snow melt, the terraces are all poured out, so we're complete with that. A lot of the flooring is complete in the building. We're still working on some terrazzo areas. There's still the main hallway pre-function areas left to complete for carpeting. A lot of the wood doors, the wood trim, the cabinets, all the casework, millwork type of wood product that has been ongoing now for the last couple of months. We're about 75% with that. And in the ballroom, as Marty on the video kind of saw the baffle ceiling, we're wrapping that up right now in the ballroom. There's probably a few weeks left on that. And the collaboration stair, it's about 90% complete. That is the big wood stairwell at the main entrance. So for the next few months, we're working on just finalizing finishes. March is going to be very heavy with city inspections, punch list, and then April is when furniture comes in, the balance of the kitchen equipment, and we are really doing system commissioning at that point, testing out the systems. So alignment with the city. We've had some great meetings with the Department of Neighborhood Services, making sure we're aligned with the amount of inspections that we have, because it's a big facility, a lot of square footage. It's not only the expansion, it's also the south building that we need to get tested for fire alarm and other code inspections. So we have great alignment with them. We have a calendar in place where we've got holds with their inspectors. So we feel pretty good about how that's going to shape up. Our focus really right now is on finish quality, commissioning, making sure all the systems are working properly, and final inspections. And again, March 29th is the final substantial completion date. Give an update on our inclusion, our workforce, and our contracting inclusion. Everything, again, is on par. We're exceeding the overall goals in both categories. We anticipate that's not going to move much here in the next couple of months. Our RPP program is doing great. We're over 40% at 42%. And our special impact area zip code, the SIA percentages, we're doing very well in, almost at 36%. And then the overall workforce blend, we at our 31% goal, we're tracking at 47%. So construction teams are knocking it out of the park on that. And under our contracting, these are all the firms that we've hired. This number really hasn't moved much since these were early commitments. Overall, between the three categories, our goal was 31, and we are at 38, and we don't expect that number to move off of that at all. Lastly, there's going to be just a few photos with some updates. You saw some of this already in the video, and we can run through that real quick. So this is the south building. This is the building we're in now. So you can see some of the, this is the second floor east hallway. It's a refresh paint on all the walls and columns and soffits, and that is the pre-function wool carpeting that's gone in almost all the areas. We still have one section to do here in the next few months. Next is just another shot. You can see the large atrium. This is taken from the second floor, kind of generally in the same area. So again, just showing the some of the upgrades that have already occurred. Next are the meeting room fronts here on the south side. So we kept the doors but refaced the exterior walls. A little bit of columns and a wood soffit, and we've got meeting room displays, security additions, and so that's the look and feel of the hallways. What's not in here yet is we are replacing all the wayfinding, so the sign that you see there, all those room signs are being replaced. Shifting over to the north expansion, so this is a cluster of 3 meeting rooms on the ground level. The carpet is laid. We have carpet protection that you see over the carpet. But everything is pretty much complete in these rooms. The new ceilings, the lighting, all the wood trim, wood door entries, the operable partitions. So those are very close to being turned over and punched out soon. This is a shot of the collaboration stair. This was the, I think we've mentioned in the past, the reclaimed ash wood. That's been recycled and reused for this project, and the ashes, that wood's been reclaimed within a 50-mile radius of the project. So we're really proud about that. You can see some of the progress on that. We're probably 2 weeks away from turning that over. This was taken about a week ago. All the different levels of the project have exterior terraces. This is the one on the upper meeting level. We have a snow melt system in place. There's going to be furniture out here, some fireplaces, and the wood rail that you see in the picture gets replaced. That's just temporary. The permanent one is a really nice glass rail system. That'll go in the next month. The exhibit hall. So this is Exhibit Hall E. This was the 113,000 square foot addition. You can see the progress there. Everything up above in the ceilings are complete. We're just kind of working on final touch-ups, painting. You'll see in the next picture the north wall of the exhibit hall where the cross bracing is. We still have a little bit of work there to do. We are installing blackout shades. So it's fairly unique to have exhibit hall with this amount of natural light, which is great for the building, but there's also times in which it needs to be completely blacked out. So we have blackout shades that are starting here in the next week or two. And moving up a level to the top level, this is the ballroom level. So this is the pre-function or hallway look and feel on the north side of the Baird ballroom. You can see the angled ceiling elements, the wrapped columns, all the great natural daylight. What's remaining up there is just finishing some of the wood benches. We have the signs that are coming in, sponsorship signage that we still have yet to install, and then all the flooring. So inside the Baird ballroom, this is the current look as of about a week ago. As Marty mentioned, the baffle ceiling, which is showing the water rippling off the lake design. That is almost complete. A lot of wood on the walls. You can see that there's an operable partition to the bottom left side of that picture. So there's been a ton of progress in the ballroom in the last 3 months. There's just another angle of the same ballroom. And then up on the terrace, the Baird Skyview Terrace. This is Marty's favorite corner of the building, right here where we're standing taking this picture, looking both west and south. It's roughly 12,000 square feet of exterior terrace space. We still have the glass rails to put up. We have an almost 6-foot glass rail. Our snow melt system is in place. That's the final concrete surface look and feel out there. But things are coming together really nicely. It's an amazing view. If you haven't been up to the terrace, I'm sure you will see it very soon. And lastly, this is the last picture of the current status of the exterior. In fact, this morning, almost all of that upper sort of checker pattern that you see, that's the protective material that goes over the metal wall panels, almost all of that is completely off the building. So we're getting very close to getting that turned over. We get a really nice LED board from Daktronics where the support steel is on the upper side of the dark gray granite column. And we have to finish out the balcony rails. Other than that, just sort of fine-tuning the exterior over the next couple of months. Like I said, most of the site work is complete, and become March into early April, everything will be cleaned up and accessible from the exterior. So that wraps up our project update, and I'll open it up to any questions.
Great, Mike. Thank you very much. It was Very, very good, very thorough. Appreciate the updates. Anybody have any questions for Mike?
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mike, great update. It looks really great over there. One question, I know we commissioned some artwork and some pretty significant pieces. Just wondering, maybe that comes in the March, April timeframe with the furniture. Just wondering if you have any information with regard to whether or not those pieces are on schedule to be completed, and if so, what does installation of those look like?
Yeah, good question. I didn't mention that, I apologize. But yes, everything is on track for late March. Starting around the 22nd of March, we're going to start bringing artwork into the south building. That'll take approximately a week or two, and then they'll transfer right over to the north expansion. There's also some great 3D pieces and various vendors, art vendors and installers, artists that'll be in the building, mostly in April. So last week of March through the entire month of April is what we're expecting for art installation.
Thank you, Mike.
Great, thanks, Grady. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, this is
Secretary
Secretary Blumenfeld.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just a quick question. Great job on, reaching out and all the diversity efforts. I did notice, though, that the women did not reach the goal. I think the goal was 5%, which is, I know women in construction is hard, but if you could just speak to, I think you were at 4%, just kind of what you did to try and attract women, and if there's any lessons learned that we can carry forward to try and promote more women in construction in the future.
That's a very good question. To be honest, our firm hasn't been as close to the hiring and the workforce as our construction management team has been. So we can definitely get back to you with a better summary. I can say there was a tremendous effort from the beginning of the project all the way through most of the work to go to career fairs and have partners with Big Step and the training programs that are out there. And I think some of it probably came down to availability and just the numbers in the workforce, but I'd probably be out of step, going beyond that. But we can definitely, it's a very good question, and we can certainly get sort of a summary of the efforts that were made and maybe lessons learned that can be applied to the next project. Because a lot of the same firms are doing other big projects coming up in the area. So
Great. I'd be very interested in that follow-up. Thank you.
You bet.
Secretary, we'll get with Gil Bain, so we have a more thorough report, an update for you and the board in March. I will share with you and the board that we have met every month with Gil Bain and C.D. Smith, going over all of the initiatives for all of the categories we were seeking to achieve, if not surpass. With regard to the female workforce, as Mike alluded to, there's a limited number of trained women, a limited number of women who are interested in training, and those that are trained, there's with the number of construction projects going on in the city, there's just such a demand on that pool. On the flip side, though, when you look at the contract side, not the actual construction work itself, we more than tripled the WBE component. So a lot of it is just the dynamics of the environment and the available workforce to pull from. But we'll get you the results and information directly from Gil Bain.
Well, thank you so much.
Great. Any additional questions, comments? All right. Thank you, Mike. Great stuff. I'm going to turn it back over to Marty for the introduction on a little bit of a background on the rebranding and new look for the WCD before Sarah jumps on.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Before bringing up Sarah, I would like to just underscore two things. One, I know I mentioned it in my comments, but just want to give a very deliberate shout out to Visit Milwaukee and Peggy's team for that video with Bobby Portis. It's a piece that they asked if we would participate in. Obviously, being the partners that we are, we wouldn't turn down an invitation. So thank your team for the great work in getting it done. When I saw the rough cut on Tuesday, I asked Sarah if we would have it for today. She said, well, it's still in post-production. I said, well, it'll be ready for Friday, right? It'll be ready for Friday. So Peggy, thank you. Great job by everyone involved with that. And then before I do turn it over to Sarah, I do want to acknowledge two things. One, certainly the staff is aware of this. I'm not sure if we've shared this with the board or not, but Robert Seefeld, our Vice President of Facilities, who's been with the district for 43 years, will be retiring at the end of May. So that's something for another day and a celebration we'll be having in June. After he's left, we're all going to party that he's gone. I mean, we're going to celebrate Bob's career here. But I'd also like to introduce Damon Murray, just joined us on Tuesday. He's our new incoming Vice President of Facilities, joins us from a very stellar career working for a number of different organizations across the country. Will be moving his family up from Georgia. So welcome aboard, Damon. Hope we haven't scared you yet. Members of the board, I'd like to have Sarah Maya, who's already up at the podium, share with you the exciting new branding program for the Wisconsin Center District. Like the transformation of the expansion and modernization of the Baird Center, the business-to-business positioning of the WCD is also transforming and modernizing. Sarah.
Marty, thank you. Before I start, Grady, I do want to go back to your art question and let you know that Public Art Services will be in town next week doing site visits with each of the artists who are local, and we've done virtual site visits with the artists who are not. So we will have a lot more updates and check-ins on that. We are working really hard with our comms team to make sure that we have a robust and very detailed website page dedicated to the art. So more to come on that. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to share this information with you all. As you are all very well aware, the WCD has been in a state of real metamorphosis in the last couple of years. We have transformed our management and our culture, investing time and resources into the internal curation and representation of who we are and what our values are. So, the next logical step in that evolution was to update the external brand identity of the Wisconsin Center District to communicate to the outside world who we have become and who we will be in the future. So why does the brand of the WCD matter? We have clearly identified logos and color palettes for each of the venues, and isn't that who we are? Not exactly. No WCD staff person represents any one building, and no WCD board member represents any one venue. We are all commonly refer to the venues in the public domain because that's where the event happens. But now is really the time for us to modernize and strategically align our overarching brand image, giving more legitimacy to our operations, to our business practices, and our reputation, all contributing to still moving the needle on the WCD being an employer of choice. There are a lot of layers to this process. If you've gone through it, you understand. So our first objective was to generate a short, easy to repeat, and simple to understand synopsis of what the heck the Wisconsin Center District is. We are not a place like the Deer District. We're sort of more like a school district. We act as a body that manages the businesses of all the buildings within our jurisdiction. For us, of course, that's Baird Center, Miller High Life Theater, and UWM Panther Arena. But a special purpose district like ours is not really in the common vernacular like a school district. So we knew we needed to offer the end user a really concise explanation of what the heck the WCD is, which led us to meetings, conventions, and events. The next task was to identify the keywords and the personas which had to be represented in the graphic and the visual portion of our brand identity. The font choice and the color palette were to reflect an organization which is professional, financially sound, and delivers above and beyond the expectation without blatantly stating, be bold, be proud, and be experience obsessed. So this graphic mark had to be future-focused and really embrace the 3 venues. It had to convey a sense of integration of our business into the success of the city and the county and the state. And finally, we needed a graphic that could live in harmony with the copy as well as stand on its own. The thematic concept which drove the development of this icon was a return to a familiar theme that we know has not met its full development yet, and that is building more. So for those who have been on the board since March 6th of 2020, this should feel familiar. Building more was the thematic concept that was originally identified for the expansion project before we had a naming rights partner. This theme has always allowed us to add a variety of adjectives and adverbs to it. We are building more jobs. We are building more experiences. We are building more economic impact. We are building more Milwaukee. That thematic concept has made an ideal springboard for us in the continued development of our identity. So, in short, we needed to make sure that we are representing that our work ties venues and experiences together, and we weave those experiences together with their audiences. Okay, I'll fast forward now through the months of iteration and review and feedback and development with a shout out to our graphic design manager, Jana Michaelis, for sticking with us through it all. And let me jump to the end of the story. We are very proud to share this new brand identity with you today. And here you can see the primary mark and the vertical lockup, including the graphic icon on the top, the updated topography, and the inclusion of meetings, conventions, and events. The primary icon is centered on this woven W, which really represents the series of 3s that shows up often in our world. There are a few listed here. We have our 3 core businesses. We have our 3 venues. We have our 3 values: be bold, be proud, be experience obsessed. We have the city. We have the county. We have the state. It's woven together. It's got that MC Escher quality where you're not really sure where it starts, but you're pretty sure it doesn't stop. And my favorite piece of feedback about the interwoven nature of the middle of this was that it looked like a strand of DNA. So like any good logo, we have the vertical and the horizontal lockups. Each of these elements can live with each other or independently. It has applications in black and white, reversed out, and the icon can also live independently with the venue names. Our new font is called Outfit. It is crisp, it is solid, and there are a variety of thicknesses which allow us to make it really legible in a small application, which in a digital setting is really critical. It's the new default font for our communications with Arial as our backup when that's not available. Our color palette is one that represents trust and security, as well as that familiar blue that represents Milwaukee. But, of course, it was important to us to make sure that we are maintaining and representing a bit of our personality here as well. So you'll see this pop of yellow in the corner that really makes a statement about the bold manner in which we run our business. This yellow will be used sparingly and very intentionally as a moment of distinction for the end user. Here are a couple of ways that you'll see or have already seen the combination of this logo working for us. On the top left, you'll see our brand new business cards. Below that are the new email signatures, the woven W as a lapel pin, our new security badges that not only include the new font and the new color scheme, but also identify each department individually, making it easier for our public safety team, letterhead, things of that nature. Oh, but wait, there's more. We are also in the final phases of all new websites. So this applies to the Wisconsin Center District, Baird Center, Miller High Life Theater, and UWM Panther Arena. We are in the final steps of our quality assurance testing with a phase 1 launch coming in the next couple of weeks. The phase 2 launch will be later this spring and will incorporate a lot of new photography for all of our updated, modernized spaces, as well as the new spaces, as well as 360 virtual tours of every building. We have also released our first ever WCD style guide to our staff, championed by our manager of PR and communications, Charlie Rubeski. This is a comprehensive, I'm sorry, it went too fast. There we go. This is a very comprehensive reference guide allowing all WCD staff a guideline and a roadmap of how to communicate with our clients and with ourselves. It's based off the AP Style Guide, with our own nuances incorporated as well. For example, when do you use the hyphen when you're writing UWM Panther Arena? It also indicates to staff what the overall tone of our written communications should be. How do we lean into BPX with our communications and still present a warm, hospitable, welcoming, and professional environment? So now that this WCD rebrand is also complete, we have also incorporated into the brand guide the logo requirements. So we are giving team members a clear indication of when and where to use specific logos, and of course, information about where to get more guidance if they're not sure. If anyone wants a copy of this afterwards, just let me know. Happy to share it with you. So, okay, all of these efforts combined are with the intent to present our most comprehensive selves to each other and to the outside world. Audiences ranging from colleagues to the board, media, current clients, potential future clients will all benefit from this elevated and consistent brand representation, whether it's visual or written. So I'm happy to take questions or feedback now, or I'll be sticking around after as well.
Great. Sarah, any questions for Sarah? All right, well done. Thank
Thank you.
Looks wonderful. All right, with that said, we have 2 orders of business that we're going to need to go into closed session with. So one's a security contract, one's a personnel decision. We'll go into closed session and discuss both of those. The board may convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute S 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specific business, whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Further, the board may convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute S 19.851C to consider the employment, compensation, or performance evaluation of certain WCD employees over which the WCD board has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The board is expected to reconvene in open session following these agenda items and reserves the right to take action in open session on each. Do I have a motion to move to closed session?
So moved, Gerard.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor of moving to closed session, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. We'll now move to closed session, and we'll take a moment to clear the room to make sure the appropriate personnel are available and online. we're back, and I was not on mic. So thanks. We'll take just a couple minutes. We have two orders of voting action that we need to take. First, I'll seek a motion to permit Mr. Brooks to negotiate and enter into security contract based upon the terms discussed in closed session. Do we have a motion to approve? Or all in favor, say aye.
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 Sorry.
Aye.
Sorry.
We're going to ask somebody to make the motion and somebody to second
Motion
it
first, yes. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Sorry, any opposed? Great. Motion passes. Second, I would seek a motion to approve the personnel.
Yeah,
sorry,
it's a motion.
a motion on the personnel contract that we discussed in closed session.
Gerard moves.
I'll
I
second
move
it.
to approve a 5% increase in Mr. Brooks' salary and award the full performance bonus under the terms of his contract.
Seek a motion to approve. Do we need a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Motion passes. Great, thank you. We got through it. Two just quick orders of business at the end. Future meeting dates are in the back of your packet. Please make sure we have those available. If you're not available live, please let Michael know. Our committee meetings are coming up on March 7th, and then our full board meeting is the 15th of March. Last thing is any additional topics that we would like to discuss, please send those in the next 30 days, so make sure that we can get them on the agenda for March for any discussions, and that will come out later on the week or so before March. With that said, is there anything else anyone needs to discuss? I would seek a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. We are adjourned. Have a great weekend, everybody, and go Pack. Yeah, go Pack. There you go.